This is Lions on Tap, a weekly look inside the Lions' Den, presented by Coors Light, the chilled choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Highlights, interviews, and a look ahead to this week's game. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and the voice of your BC Lions, Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
Welcome to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW. You heard the man, it's the most. Bob Marjanovic along with Matt Baker, Lions Director of Media Relations, Nick Kowalski, Director of Social Content. I hope I got that title right, Nick. If not even close. It doesn't matter. People believe it. We're coming to you tonight from the Shark Club in downtown Vancouver on Georgia Street. Just a down and out from BC Place Stadium. Of course, all of this presented by the good folks at Molson Coors. We will break it all down. And that is, of course, the big win against the Montreal Alouettes in the Belle Province. And also talk about the upcoming game Friday night at BC Place where the Toronto Argonauts pay the Lions a visit. We'll talk to Lions linebacker Maxime Rouyer at some point tonight as well. But, gentlemen, let's go back to Montreal. First off, the Lions go into Montreal coming off a big win against the Ottawa Redblacks at Touchdown Pacific. And, man, oh, man, they didn't miss a beat. They go in there and knock off the Alouettes by a score of 37-23.
Yes, excellent win. Do we dare say it's the best win of the season for this Lions team? Perhaps. Montreal was rolling going in, and I know we talked last week going in about how Montreal was one of those teams that was executing when it mattered most. You look at teams like Saskatchewan, almost beating them twice, I think. Edmonton gave them a good run a couple of weeks before their bye, but the William Stanback train obviously was a big storyline going in, and I'm glad that ended up paying a difference. So, well-rounded on offense was a big key for me, and just an all-around good team win. Coach Rick called it complimentary, and it was.
Yeah, and you look on, like, everyone's talking about the 472 net yards of offense, but in my opinion, it's the defense that really stepped up, and specifically you get those 3 turnovers, and most of them they pretty much all started on Montreal's or BC side of the field, and they lead to 6 points, and I think Montreal went 2 and out on 2 of those 3 turnovers, so the defense...
Well, 4 turnovers. 13
yeah, but
points.
The 3 ones that were critical were the ones where they're starting on BC side of the field, right? And
field position.
Then you get those 2 and outs. It's no big deal. You're not giving up 21 points. Instead, you're giving up 6, and there you go.
To me, that's a great point. But like I look at the 4 turnovers in total, and they gave up 13 points off those 4 turnovers. The only one that they gave up a touchdown off, ironically enough, you talked about the short fields, was a Stanback fumble, well, alleged fumble, deep in Montreal territory, and they couldn't stop him before the half. And, I talked to Gary Peters afterwards, the Lions All-Star corner, or pardon me, All-CFL corner, and Gary said that's the one drive that kind of they were disappointed in themselves because, and that was such a critical call. And again, the Crown and Coke boys got involved, a.k.a. the command center. The fact that they call that a fumble, and all of a sudden you go from maybe a 20-6 or 24-6 point.
14-point swing,
14-point swing, they come down and score. I mean, the Lions should have stopped them at some point, but it opened a portal for Montreal to get back in the game.
And there's so much adversity that, like you said, got brought up there, and then it's immediately squashed with Jonah Tavai's sack and forced strip sack, kind of triple threat there. You get the sack, the fumble, and the recovery in the first play of the third quarter. That led to a Sean White field goal, obviously, but it got the Lions back momentum, and Montreal could have kept it going there in the third quarter and kind of going on the steamroller like they typically have this season.
I agree with Nick. To me, the story that everyone's talking about the offense and Stanback. What a great game he had. Nathan Rourke puts up 300 plus again. But for me, the story in that game was just the complementary football that they played, and as you mentioned, the defense coming up big when Montreal had a chance to really change the momentum. That, to me, was a big story.
And another big point from this one for me, Lions only take 3 penalties all night.
Yeah.
Discipline. You go back to Touchdown Pacific, there was pretty much no penalties that night on defense, none that extended drives. So the guys believing in discipline has been a big part of this mini winning streak, we'll call it, going for 3 in a row against Toronto on Friday. But disciplined football.
The one thing, too, at the start of the year, I talked about keys for this team moving forward. Everyone was focusing on the line of scrimmage, and rightfully so, plays such an important part. But the 2 parts that I looked at were turnovers and penalties. And if you look at this team last year in turnovers, I mean, I don't know, they weren't that good. They were in the negatives. They gave up the ball more times than they got it.
Yep.
And they still wound up winning a whole bunch of football games. And same thing with penalties. I think they were 8th in the league, or pardon me, 2nd in the league in the times amount they were penalized in terms of yardage.
Second most.
This year, they're second least in terms of yardage penalized. So to me, that's kind of swung. The turnovers are still there, but at least the penalties have greatly been reduced this year.
I think Nathan Rourke looked very comfortable too, despite those turnovers. A couple of them are off tips balls, right? So you can't really control that. But you look at those two balls, I thought they were backed up on, I think they're on like 2 yard line right at the beginning there, and he throws that 13-yard strike to Hollins and then a 20-yard ball to Hatcher where
those are drive of the game.
Those
right?
are tight windows, right? Like there's no error or no margin for error on those throws, and that's a sign where Nathan he's not afraid. He's feeling it. He's getting more comfortable week in, week out, and obviously we saw Nate Too Fast come alive too in the fourth quarter there in that sneak, which was another big aspect of this game. The sneaks turning into major plays for the Lions.
Well, I mean, you look at those two sneaks, the one by Mackey for the touchdown on the opening drive, and then Nathan's quarterback sneak that results in a touchdown. In both of those sneaks, two guys that should get a ton of credit and, probably flies under the radar because, our buddies with TSN will talk about the quarterback play and rave about how great the quarterbacks are and this, that.
Probably.
Keon Hatcher. Watch Keon Hatcher on Nathan Rourke's touchdown run because he engages with the edge guy. He blocks him, and then the guy kind of peels off and moves over, right? And he tries to regain contain, and Hatch sticks with him. Like, he sticks with him the whole time, and he finishes the block, right? And it was just, to me, just a great effort by Keon Hatcher in terms of securing the edge. And then on the other run by Mackey, it's Riley Pickett doing the same on the other side, right? And those are the little things that you need to be successful. And you always talk about little things adding up to big things. Well, guess what? You got two guys, especially Hatch with his effort, to re-engage the guy and seal him. Those two little things added up to 2 touchdown runs.
Yeah, that's
without them, they're not scoring.
That's very correct, and I looked this up in the stats right away. David Mackey, second on the team in touchdowns. He's got 6. He's one behind Justin McInnes, who I believe has 7. So, and new role for him. And you see our friends Jay Janauer at Global BC out doing the Mackey story today at practice, and it's always good to see a guy kind of expand his role that kind of way.
Well, it's nice to see him get a little, some camera time because you guys have been around this team a long time. It's funny. I was talking to Jay at practice today. It's like his 7th year in the league or something. Blows me away. It just seems like he was
2018
right?
draft pick. Yeah.
But there's a guy that doesn't get a ton of pop, and he is now obviously scoring touchdowns on these sneaks, especially like the one in Montreal. But there's a guy who's the ultimate team guy, and we'll talk to Max Rouyer about this as well. But he's a guy that organizes the team golf tournament. He gets to he's a glue guy, right? He brings guys from different factions on the team together, and you need those guys, right? And I think of other sports and what those guys mean. They're huge parts of your team, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does internally, and now he's getting credit for what he's doing on the field with those touchdowns.
Just a heart and soul guy too. I know we talked to him in our Arrow Up Chronicle last year, and he's taken those West Final losses especially hard. We got a good visual of him actually. You can just see him kind of soaking it in on the field out in Winnipeg last year, and just visibly pretty distraught over these losses, right? And he's someone that trains day in, day out. You can see it in his physique, right? That he's tip-top shape, and he's coming. His main goal is to bring a championship to this team, and I think that's why he's such a glue guy and gets his team all together, because he knows how important that role is. He's also the PA rep for this team too, right? So a lot of connections there through the team. But yeah, Dave he's someone that I think internally people know how important he is to this team. But yeah, like you said, publicly, it's nice to see him getting some recognition.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing too, when you look at this team and, when you're a veteran, man, those losses sting more and more every year. Because when you're a rookie, we'll be back next year. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way,
You
right?
think it'll be,
You think, I can tell you countless stories of we're going to be back next year and wound up being 8 years or 9 years or 10 years or not at all, right? I mean, look at a guy like Bo Lacumbo. He's never played in a Grey Cup. He's been in the league, 10 years?
TJ Lee, same thing.
Right, TJ Lee's never played in a Grey Cup, right?
Yep.
So you've got to take advantage of these opportunities when they're present, and hopefully the Lions get to take advantage of this opportunity. All right, moving along, Toronto this week at home. First off, before we talk about the Argonauts from an X's and O's perspective, coming off a disappointing loss to the Ottawa Redblacks in our nation's capital, tell us about all the fun stuff you got planned for the Peoples this week, man.
Yeah, Legends Night, celebrating 70 great seasons. It is our 70th anniversary season, of course. The Wall of Fame Night. I always love Wall of Fame Night, Moja. You do too, Nick too as well. Now that you've been here for a few years, you can appreciate more of these franchise legends. The 2000 Grey Cup champions going on the Wall of Fame. I love that team. I know you would have been at SportsView back then covering the 2000 team.
Just starting.
Or 1040?
1040
yeah, there you go.
The Good Life station.
There you go. 856 Homer, right? Is that, there you go. little note of radio history there. But yeah, won't get too off track. Damon Allen, Louis Pasaglia, Alfred Jackson, GM Adam Rita among the special guests. Halftime ceremony going on the Wall of Fame. I'll get a cool sampling throughout the night of some of the best franchise moments. Props to young Nick here, as always, for some of the cool videos that he's done. I don't know if you've seen any of them yet, but you'll love them, Moj, and those listening will too. Backyard party, 4 o'clock out on Terry Fox. Fun and games for everyone. 19 and over, you can have Molson Coors beverages for $5. And I know you're excited for this gunmetal. A little bit of a tweak to the gunmetal that you'll see at some point.
We haven't shown them yet.
Yeah.
Not a gun.
You're going to like it. You're going to like it.
At least it's the team that I'm familiar with wearing like the oddball jersey, because from a play-by-play point of view,
you can recognize these guys in your sleep. You're good. If it was Edmonton's jersey you were doing, that would not work, that they wore on Saturday.
Speaking of Toronto, disappointing loss against the Ottawa Redblacks. What was it, 31-6 Ottawa at half, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, 2 pick sixes, and yeah.
What are you expecting from the Argonauts this week?
Expect them to be desperate. I mean, I was talking to TJ Lee at practice for some content for the website for later in the week. It kind of mirrors each other, right? This Lions team just a couple weeks ago, people wondering what's going on, got to get back in the win column. And you look at this playoff race in the East Division, Moj, all of a sudden, a crossover from the West Division looking more and more possible each week. So Toronto hanging on to third place, and they still have the personnel. I know Chad Kelly, since he came back, has struggled, but that's still the guy who has an MOP makeup from last season. They've got an excellent ground game. Kadeem Carey, we saw that firsthand in Week 1, and I'm going to say don't let the record fool you. I think this will be a tough one down to the wire.
Well, every team this year in this league has proven they can compete in games. This isn't like college, and that's the big thing. When you have Alabama playing Delaware State, Alabama probably win 99 times out of 100. Notre Dame playing Northern Illinois, probably not as much. But the reason that you have those type of certainties in college football is because they're college players. They're athletes, whereas in the pros, they are pros. The difference between the ceiling and the floor, particularly in this league this year, is not that much, right? I mean, we talk about Hamilton, worst record in terms of statistically speaking. They played Winnipeg a couple of weeks ago. It came down in the last play, like into the last 2 minutes. So it's who knows. And, if you go into this game thinking it's going to be a cakewalk over the Toronto Argonauts, I think that's obviously the wrong attitude, and I don't believe the Lions will have that one. You have to respect your opponent, and Toronto is plenty capable of turning this thing around in a heartbeat. All right, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, we will have Max Rouyer stop by. He is, of course, a linebacker with the BC Lions, an amazing story. Born in France, came over here, played his college football at McGill, and is now a member of the BC Lions. All that and more coming up here from the Shark Club, downtown Vancouver on Georgia Street. Max Rouyer coming up next. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
Now, back to more of Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
Welcome back to BC Lions on Tap, originating tonight from the Shark Club in downtown Vancouver. Nice little down and out from BC Place Stadium. As you heard, the Moj mentioned, the man mentioned, it's the Moj, along with Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski. And we're thrilled to have Lions linebacker Max Rouyer join us right now. Max, welcome.
Thank you. How are we doing, guys?
We're doing rather well.
Excellent. Yeah.
It was a fun trip to Montreal, wasn't it?
Definitely a fun trip.
Before we get into what happened on the field, what was it like for you going back to Montreal, of course, having played your college football there at McGill?
It's always a great game, playing on the field that I know the most, because I played my whole college here. And just having the chance to go home for real, because I got my apartment in Montreal. Seeing my dog, my lady, a couple friends, and all the people that came to the game. It's always a great time. How many people
you have at the game?
About 25.
How many tickets did you have to buy?
About 20.
So it wasn't a cheap game then, right?
No, but that's okay. It's, like your career lasts only so long that it's always good to have people in the stands.
What are your thoughts on the game, 37-23 win?
Something we needed. Playing against a team that is pretty good, coming off a bye week, at home, having us to travel, the time zone difference, all that stuff. I feel like we made a statement for us, and we were relentless, and we didn't, when we had the foot on the pedal, we kept pushing, and I think that was a good show of character. And if we can keep it like that, it's very good for the weeks coming.
You mentioned foot on the pedal, keep going, but there was some adversity in that game too. Not every team would overcome that, right? A few turnovers, and what does that just say about the mental makeup of this team, Max?
So I feel that going through that phase where we lost 5 in a row really got us tied together, and we know we needed to do some changes. So we started meeting a little bit more. We started doing some different stuff in practice, and that really linked us together. And it's been showing. The past 2 games been really good example of it, and hopefully that's gonna happen this weekend.
I caught something there. You said admitting. You said, so when you're talking about admitting, and Wally Buono talked about this when we had him on last week, to get out of a slump, you have to admit what you're doing isn't good enough.
Oh yeah.
Right. Rather than saying, well, it's the referees. Oh, or this or that, kind of looking for excuses. It's almost like you have to say to yourself, we have to get better.
And I think Coach Rick Campbell, he's been saying the same thing for the past week. It's been, we have the right guys in the room. We are not just making the plays. We are not doing what we're supposed to do, and that's the result every time. But we had the right guys. So if we take the right guys, we twist it up a little bit, and we start putting a little bit more effort and a little bit more work. We still got the right guys because we're able to beat anybody in the league.
Well, how about the new guy in the room, Matthew Betts? You guys are like best buddies too. The first time I saw Betts in Victoria, it was you and him at the hotel eating breakfast together. I know you guys are really tight, but what has he done to impact this defense that has allowed the team to go 2-0 since he's returned?
So very happy to have him back. I wish he would have stayed down south, but of course it's a great add to our defense. And I don't know if he did anything, but he's with us, so it's just a good thing to have, and he's really happy to be here too, and we're really happy to have him. And but I can't tell you if he did something really that changed the defense, but his presence, it's always nice to have.
We talked about this in Victoria, and to me, those 3 days or 4 days in Victoria, the 3 nights that you guys had together, to me it was almost a perfect tonic in terms of what the team needed, because you had a chance to kind of reconnect with guys. Instead of going out your separate ways after practice, guys are going out for dinner. They're going for walks, or they're hanging out, doing whatever. And it was a real good time to get everybody to reconnect and also get re-energized. I mean, it's week 11 of week 12 or whatever it was of a CFL season. Guys are feeling the grind, and now you get to spend like a little, I don't want to say holiday, but a little. It was almost like a work retreat almost. You know what I mean? And it seems like it was just what you guys needed to get back on track.
Maybe that was the trip that changed us. Definitely getting together was really important. I think we had our first whole linebackers group together dinner, something that we didn't do since the beginning of the season. We went with the dinner with the whole D-line too.
Where'd you guys go? We're getting all the great restaurant reviews from Victoria. You remember?
That was a surf and turf restaurant.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it, but that was fantastic. And yes, just getting together and having to go through different locker rooms, different fields for practice and all that stuff. We had to go through adversity during that trip, and we still went through with a smile on our face because we were all together in it. And I think that's maybe something that added up.
From an X's and O's perspective, the one thing that I picked up, and TJ talked about this in that pregame speech in Victoria that Nick did a great job of documenting, that undefeated attitude. Just do everything 100%. And that's what Ryan Phillips kind of talked about as well leading into the week and kind of ever since. If you're going to do something, do it at 100%, right? Just play hard, right? Just go out there and play. Don't get caught in those situations where you're thinking and you're not playing, and all of a sudden you're not doing anything, right? You know where I'm going with that? It's like if you're a linebacker, either come or drop, but don't kind of sit there in no man's land because now you're not doing either, right? And I think that's what Ryan wanted to see more from this team defensively, was just whatever you're going to do it aggressively.
Yep, and that's what we've been doing, and I feel like during those 5 games that we were losing, we were just trying to find ourselves. We had a lot of moving pieces, we had injuries, we had more people trying to step in, and going through that phase really made us.
You're listening to On Tap on CKNW. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and our guest tonight is Lions linebacker Max Rouyer.
And Max Rouyer has played in all 13 regular season games thus far. He's got a career high in tackles, both special teams and defense. Just talk about your expanded role and how good it's been being more involved and playing in every game.
It's definitely good. Being healthy is something like I wasn't so lucky before, so I'm embracing it. We had a couple of injuries in the linebacker room. I had to step up, and I really enjoy going through that process, having the trust of our DC, Ryan Phillips. It's something I take a lot of pride in. So after that, I'm going to go home and watch some tape because I got to get ready for tomorrow. But playing on special team, trying to lead the way, it's always something I've pride myself, and this is developing to defense, so it's nice. It's love.
A role you have carved yourself out pretty well in the CFL is on special teams, though, as so many defensive newcomers do. I'm looking at the special teams tackles in the Lions. I'm seeing you're at 11. Do you know that by heart or no?
I think I got 12.
You have 12? Okay. But you're right up there at the top, and I think Patrice Rene, Christophe Beaulieu, who's back, is right up there. Isaiah Messum's obviously there. Do you guys have a little competition going on? Who's going to get the most teams tackles, or do you just care?
We don't have a competition in itself. Obviously, we want everybody to eat and everybody make plays, so whoever's make the tackle, we're just excited. We got a pretty good challenge this week because we're playing one of the good returners in the game. But whoever's make the tackle. Obviously, if it's me, I'll take it.
He's got 12. Nicky, don't undersell him.
Talk about you know a guy like Janarian Grant. That's the returner you're alluding to in Toronto quite well from the past couple of years in Winnipeg. You're seeing him have quite a spectacular season. What kind of makes him different? Is it what makes a great returner? I guess is what I'm asking. Great.
Probably patience. So when he gets the ball, he's not gonna hit the hole right away. Otherwise, the tackler just gonna come at him. It's more about patience, and as soon as he's filling the gap or filling a hole, he's just gonna hit it really fast. And then that explosion that he has, what's making him different.
Well, when you go up against a player like that, you talk about patience. Imagine patience and discipline has to be a key from your coverage unit, because you have to maintain your lanes. You can't give them those seams, those holes, and a lot of times that's being patient, because if you get too over aggressive, now all of a sudden you might, the old expression, never follow the same colored jersey, and now you got a bit of a gap, right? So patience will be a key from your perspective as well.
So he's a great returner, but they got a good punt return unit and kickoff return unit because they got good blockers too.
Yeah.
So, and special team, it's most of the time one-on-one. So you got to beat your guy, be the best, and go down the field, respect your lane, trust the guy next to you. And we played him already. We know we can stop him, so we just got to do the same thing, even better if we can. And
Nick was talking about it too. The pride. A lot of people when they break down games, hey, I think we're all guilty of it as well. Offense, defense, offense, defense. We don't really talk about special teams that much, and there's a lot of special team snaps in a game, right? I mean, it's the third component of a team. If you look at teams that are successful, it's those teams that play special teams that do a good job at special teams, but they also give special teams players investment and ownership. And it's not just offense, defense. You guys are the third unit, and we need you to succeed. And your job is just as important as the starting left guard or the starting right end on defense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in our team, guys like Mackie, Messam take a lot of pride in playing on special team. We got started on defense that plays on special team, such as TJ. TJ is on, Manu Rugamba. So all those guys, no matter what, it's a football play. If you have to step on the field, you got to show who you are, and regardless if it's special team and you got to block somebody, or if it's defense and you got to tackle somebody, I feel like we take as much pride. And our team and our coaches, they give us recognition for that.
You've talked about your coordinators, the coaching staff. When you first got here, remember, you actually flew back with the team from Montreal in 2022 and signed your contract, I think, right?
Yep.
Who's an example of some of the players in the room that maybe took some extra time, took you under their wing?
Sorry, what?
What examples of players on the team helped you out getting adjusted to the new team is what I meant to say.
So obviously when I arrived, Matthew Betts was there.
Yep.
I knew him because we played together in Edmonton. David Menard was there too. So we had like a little French mafia group that they really helped me to, so let's say, know the D-line. And then I was in the linebacker room, and Travis Brown was also my coach my first year in Edmonton. So that was just, everything went really easy. We had a great linebacker room, and unfortunately Josh Woods went back home, but that's one of the guys I had a great connection with. And yeah, I feel like it was so easy. I just got really lucky to
I was speaking
right
of
timing.
Menard. Speaking of Menard, as we get to break, the best recommendation he ever made, I hope I get this right, Ma Poulet Mouillé.
Ma poule mouillée.
Yeah. That place, I don't think I've ever had better rotisserie chicken. That was so
Portuguese chicken,
good.
yeah.
So good. It was tremendous. That was worth the trip to Montreal. It was amazing. So it's that and the smoked meat at 1:30 in the morning. Thanks, Kowalski. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a bad influence on you there, did we not?
Yes, we did.
Don't loop me in here.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break. When
Peer
we
pressure.
return, more coming from the Shark Club downtown Vancouver. Of course, just a down and out from BC Place Stadium on Georgia Street, Georgia and Beatty. All of this a presentation of the good folks at Molson Coors. We'll talk to Max Rouyer about his journey in the game of football, all the way from France to the BC Lions. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
Now, back to more of Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
This is BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW. Coming to you tonight from the Shark Club, Georgia Street and Beatty in downtown Vancouver. Of course, this is a presentation of the good folks at Molson Coors. You heard the man, Nick Kowalski, Matt Baker, yours truly, the Moj. And our guest tonight is Lions linebacker Max Rouyer. We've talked a lot about the season to date, but Max, every time we have a guest on, we like to talk about the journey in the game of football, and you have a rather unusual one that started off in Troyes, France.
Trois, actually.
Close.
I thought the ES at the end, I'd have to pronounce the Troy part. Okay,
You
trois.
don't have.
Just trois.
Trois, yep.
Okay, just like the number 3.
Yeah,
So
pretty
how
much.
come it's not spelled like the number 3?
I'm not responsible for that.
So when you were growing up, did you
Played soccer.
Yeah, I was just about to say probably like Zinedine Zidane and all that stuff, rather than kind of thinking about Lawrence Taylor or something.
Big fan of Zidane. Growing up, started playing soccer at like 4 or 5 years old. Played till I was 15, and then I was trying to find something new. So playing for so long, I just got bored of it, and I wanted to try new stuff. So I did a little bit of judo. I did a little bit of rugby. And then some friends started playing football, American football. And they're like, oh, you should come. So I went, give it a try. And here we are.
What was your first? You remember your first practice?
First practice, so
For
I had
first
a
game?
helmet too big for my head. I was wearing glasses and I had no contacts, so glasses in the helmet. And it was during winter. It was really cold. No gloves. So, yeah, that was
Did you get all the equipment on properly? Because I remember my very first practice, like, you have the hip girdle. Well, we used to wear the hip girdle back in the day.
Yeah,
I
so
put it on-
that was just a belt.
I put it on backwards.
First practice wasn't the best, but we were such a tight group of friends that started all doing it together that we keep like pulling each other to come to practice. And football in France was nothing related to school, so it was just
Club team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what endeared you to the sport? What was it? The contact, the camaraderie? I mean, what got you attracted to the game?
Just the positive feedback. I was doing well. I was getting cheered on, so I kept doing it, and I liked it. And there were so many new things to learn. I didn't know anything about the sports. Never watched Super Bowl. Never watched anything. So I started discovering something new, and that's it.
What led you to McGill?
Got a scholarship.
Yeah, there you go.
So I was in France playing for that club. The club hired a coach from Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean in north of Quebec. Coached me for a year. Saw some kind of potential. Was like, oh, maybe you should try to go play for the team I used to coach in Quebec. Got in contact with the coach. Did the paperwork. Got to CEGEP. Played 2 years of CEGEP, and then got recruited at McGill by head coach Ronald Hilaire. And 4 years at McGill. 2019 was my last season, and realistically, it was my last time playing football because I was graduating. There was nothing for French people after. And February 2020, got the call from the French Federation. Hey, the CFL is going to start a global program, and we'd like to put your name in the basket to see if you can make it because you've been playing Canadian football. Put my name in it and made it.
Got drafted
So
by Edmonton.
I remember being at the combine in 2017, 18, and 19. So that was kind of cool to see the global aspect of that combine. I remember being in a hotel gym, and a lot of the German players were in there working out. What was that combine process like for you?
So we knew there was going to have one round of players being selected, and we were 18. There's 9 teams, so it was like 50% chance to be selected.
Pretty good at math.
Not just a pretty face. So we went with the French Federation. We were 4 French players to participate to that first edition, and all 4 of us got drafted. So that was a great process. We had fun. Like, it was nothing like I could have expected. So it was just, everything was new. Everything was so shiny, like a shiny new toy. Like, you're just enjoying the experience, and if you can make the best out of it. And that was it.
So was Thibaut there too that year?
No, so Thibaut got there the next year. I was already in Edmonton. Actually, he got after COVID. So 2019 got in Edmonton. 2020 we got the COVID season that got cancelled, and I met Thibaut in 2021.
So number 1 pick, I'm just looking at the draft, was a kid from McGill, a D lineman, Valentine.
Yeah.
Ganoa?
Nyawa.
Yeah, that was close.
Noah.
Theodric Hansen, who I still think's in the
Still
league.
playing.
Yeah, Winnipeg.
He's playing for
Toronto.
Toronto.
Unfortunately injured, so I don't think he'll make the trip. But yeah, still in the league.
Asnell Robo out of Montreal, and then you were picked 4th overall in the draft. So
Yep.
you go to Edmonton, right? What was that like going to that camp, your first pro camp, and just what you remember of it?
It was a great time. So that's where I met Travis Brown. He was a linebacker coach there. Really took me under his wing. Was coaching me after practice a lot, and I was just going through the process of like being a rookie and trying to learn the playbook, trying to learn the game, and Edmonton trusted me, so they gave me the chance to play 17 regular season game, and that was a big learning process. But you don't realize it because you're just in the middle of it, and everything is going so fast.
It's pretty remarkable, too, that I think this is a two-way street, that you're here now, and we don't have to worry about global players because we have you and we have Thibaut, and you guys make contributions.
Carl
too.
Meyer as well.
Carl Meyer, yeah. Exactly. There's contributions on pretty much all phases of the game. But do you ever look back and say, like, wow, like Thibaut's, I know you probably wish it was you, but Thibaut's the first guy to score a touchdown as a global. You're leading the team in special teams tackles. Do you ever look back and say, wow, we have something pretty special here when it comes to the global players? And, yeah, Carl, too, right? Carl dressing in Touchdown Pacific.
Yeah. I feel it's the bigger thing. It's the organization, the BC Lions, because they've been trusting us. They've been giving us a chance, and we're trying to make the best out of it. And I feel like we are making the best out of it. Thibaut scoring the first touchdown is a shame because he's a D tackle.
The ball was right there for him.
Why is that? It was a good play.
I'm really happy for him.
Go ahead, sorry.
And it's just the organization, like, they brought me back from Poland. I was in Poland.
That's what I want to get to, is talk about a little bit about that.
I played a whole season there before coming here, and the very next week I was playing on team, so I'm just grateful.
So you get let go by the Eskimos after COVID, and you wind up playing for, I don't even want to mention the name because every name I've mentioned tonight I've butchered. I'll just call them Panthers.
The Panthers.
Panthers Rokla?
That's how you should say it, but the real name is Ratslav. But
okay, I give up.
You got it.
Between Polish and French, I'm just getting destroyed tonight. Okay, so you play in Poland.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? And did you think you could get back to the CFL, or you think, hey, I'm just going to go over to Poland, play a little bit, and see what happens?
So till halfway through the season in Poland, I had no really expectation to going back because nobody did it. A couple guys that were in the league went to play in the ELF. That's the name of the European League. Never made it back. I was 27, so it's like, I don't think it's gonna happen. And then my agent, I think he worked really well and he worked really hard for me. And it's like, yeah, I think you can have a shot with BC. And from that point, all I was trying to do is finish the season healthy. Because if I was getting a shot, that was finishing a season in Europe and going straight to the end of the season in Canada. So staying healthy was a big thing.
What's the football like there?
So it's American football, so obviously it's a little bit different. I think it's evolving in the right way. They are hiring way more coaches from North America, either Canada or the US. Actually, my special team coach during that season, he's the special team coach for Ottawa.
Corey McDermott used
Yes.
to be at UBC back in the day. Yeah.
And he was the special team coach in Poland. And the running back coach for Montreal was the D-line coach in Poland. So guys that I kept connection with because I think they were trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Going to Europe, trying to get back a job in the
So,
this
like,
year.
how would you equate the football? Would it be youth sports? Would it be junior football? I mean, how would you equate it?
It would be higher than your sport,
Really?
but not pros. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're playing with grown men.
Yeah.
And you got imports, so American and European import. Most of the European import are people like me that have been playing in North America and coming back in Europe. And otherwise, you got people that are 30 years old that have been working out their whole life, that have been learning football too. So it's a little bit higher up.
Well, you had quite the season with the Panthers. I'll leave it at that. I'm reading
Wroclaw.
I'm reading the
Wroclaw.
Wikipedia here.
that's pretty
89
good.
tackles, 4.5 sacks, and you got a touchdown too. So maybe
Yep.
you and Tebow are probably tied now for a professional touchdown. So what happened on the touchdown play? Do you remember it? Obviously,
QB fumble, and I picked up just like Tebow.
Just
picked
like
up the
Tebow,
ball
there you
and
go.
walked in.
anybody can do it. Yeah.
So you come back to BC. When you got that call to come back, I mean, obviously you've taken advantage of the opportunity here. So, I mean, what's been the big key for you to be in your success with the Lions?
The coaches and the players, like being around great players that are like giving me a chance to express myself, and the trust of the coaches. So knowing that when I get on the field, I have trust, so I have a little bit more freedom. I have responsibilities, but I have freedom in those responsibilities, and I feel like my role in the team has been getting bigger and bigger. So it's a good way for me to develop.
And, you know, you're even, as you mentioned, getting reps on defense. I remember the game against Edmonton, and I specifically broke that game down because it was such a performance. I remember one play, though. You came up off the edge, you took on the guard, and you set the edge one by one, perfect alignment, and the play was stuffed. And I said, that was a great play by Roy. And not one of those things you're going to see a tackle on, but there's expression in football. You don't make the tackle, but you make the play. And in that instance, you made the play. So it seems like you're getting a lot more comfortable when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and the more reps you get and the more trust you get, the better you get. I feel like because you can know the playbook, you can know what you're supposed to do on paper. As long as you don't get the reps, it's a little bit harder to really go in and trust it. So gaining those reps, because we have so many injuries at linebackers this year, giving me a lot of faith.
All right, before we let you go, Toronto this week, what should we expect?
A good game. So everybody in the stands, we need people in the stands, and a win by your dear BC Lions.
All right, see, that's
go.
a very politically correct answer. He's speaking now.
Nothing
like a
less.
nine-year
Straight to the
veteran.
point. Yeah, I like it.
Hey, Max, thanks for stopping by tonight, and continued success. It's been an amazing journey for you all the way from Troyes, France, through Edmonton, Poland, and here with the BC Lions. It's who knows, like I said, where it's going to wind up, but it's been a great journey thus far. Thanks for stopping by and joining us.
Thank you.
That is Max Rouyer, BC Lions linebacker, stopping by here at the Shark Club on Georgia Street. Just a down and out for BC Place Stadium. All of this is a presentation of the good folks at Molson Coors. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
This is Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light, the chill choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Now it's time for Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia.
Yes, indeed. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski in the house here at the Shark Club on Georgia Street, downtown Vancouver. All of this is a presentation of Molson Coors. And again, thank you so much for tuning in to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW. What do we got today?
Well, it'd be a shame if it wasn't about the 2000 BC Lions team, right? It's the topic of the week.
Well, I can't
Wall
remember.
of Fame.
2000's a long time ago.
2000. Okay, so this is in you're saying this is in Baker's wheelhouse? Mm-hmm. You guys can play
My
together.
wheelhouse goes from like 1975 to about 1985.
I love this team.
Then
2000.
85 to 2000 is kind of like a little bit, and then like 2000 to about 2000. What's 2023 is a blur.
Well, I think, Baker, you've been doing a lot of research on the 2000 team, obviously.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
Without trivia in mind, so it's just a coincidence.
Well, let's give you guys a warm-up. So there were 6 UBC and SFU. So 3 from UBC, 3 from SFU that played on this 2000 BC Lions
Sean
team.
Millington.
Sean Millington's
Tyson Craig, Sean Graham.
one. Sean Graham's 2. I don't see Tyson Craig on this
Tyson
team.
Craig's, was he the long? Maybe he wasn't there yet.
I don't see him, yeah.
Okay.
This is per stats.
Mark
by the way.
Nora?
Incorrect.
Not there yet? Oh,
you guys are missing an obvious one.
Oh, Javi Glatt.
Javi Glatt, not yet.
2003 he was drafted.
One's you got a DB, an O lineman. This O lineman was a first round pick. I think he was a first overall pick actually in the CFL
UBC?
draft. Yes, yeah. You share a name with him.
Bob Beveridge.
Bob Beveridge. There you go.
Thank you.
On the 2000.
There's a
Okay.
This is gonna be bad. There's a kicker and a punter, pretty famous.
Oh, Louis Pasaglia, of course.
Louis
SFU.
Pasaglia, and then you got Brett Anderson.
Brett Anderson.
Yeah, the fireman.
Yep.
He was also a kicker.
Curtis Gallick is the other name. Do you know that name?
Curtis
Yeah.
Gallick. Yeah, he was
Do
a
you know
corner. Curtis played for us at UBC, and he actually tried out for the Seahawks.
See, it's right in your wheelhouse. There you go.
There you go. See,
I know Curtis, and great guy.
There you go.
He tried out for the Seahawks, got cut, came
That's a
back
good
up there,
category,
finished.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's a warm-up. We'll hit you some multiple choices here. Do you guys remember who led the 2000?
Curtis going to be here on the weekend?
That's a good question. We'll have to talk to Terrace tomorrow morning.
Jamie's got a list. Might be able to pull it up.
Let me pull up this list.
Yeah, pull it up while
Give
I'm
me a
giving you
minute.
the options.
Get your next question ready, and we'll get it after.
And then look at the list in case we need help.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There you
this
go.
is a
You got little
cheat sheet.
Who led the team in receiving in 2000? I'll give you guys
Alfred
four
Jackson.
options. I'll give you guys the four options. Jimmy Cunningham, Alfred Jackson, Robert Drummond, or Don Blair.
I'll go
Don
Alfred
Blair.
Jackson.
It is Alfred Jackson.
Oh,
Don
yeah.
Blair did have over 600 yards, though. Sneaky good player. Really clutch.
Jackson, we saw him at the Grey Cup.
Okay, I
a couple
got
years
the
ago.
list here. I'm not going to look at it till we're done.
He looks like he can still play.
we
Well, here-
saw him in Regina. Yeah,
Yeah.
Grey Cup, Lions Den.
Well, that one might have been a little easy, but the 2000 team is quite famous for the two-headed monster out of the backfield. So
Yes.
who
Millington and
was?
Drummond.
So who? Yeah, but who was the leading rusher in 2000? You kind of got a 50-50 chance at this
Millington.
one.
Drummond.
It's Millington. Moj takes a 2-0
Moj is
lead.
up.
How about
See, your wheelhouse?
Yeah, there you go. How about interception?
Sean Millington, the man who tore my ACL when he was at SFU, and now I have to have a knee replacement. Thanks, Millie, if you're listening.
Well, I played I don't know if you know this, but my last ever high school game was against Brady Oliveira's Oak Park Raiders, and I think he had like 300 yards. It was one of those cases where he was just bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody. It was not fun. And that's why he's doing his thing in the CFL now. But anyways, the 2000 BC Lions team, the interceptions leader, you have A, Eric Carter, B, Central McClellan, C, Bo Lewis, or D, Mike Fletcher.
I'm
These are
going to
the
go
Eric
with
Carter.
EC number 2, Eric Carter.
These are the top four answers, but the answer is Eric Carter.
Yeah.
How about we'll get a little tricky here? I'm not going to give you guys any options here. You just got to name the player.
Eric
Okay.
Carter, remember he got in a fight with a fan? Was it Winnipeg?
Yeah, playoff game in 02 or something. Him and Carl Kidd were like kicking a fan, weren't they? Yeah.
And then speaking of fights in Winnipeg, of course, Adam Rita and Jeff Reinbold.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
another beauty. All right, that's
Classic.
a little sidebar story for you.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking 2000 team. I love it. How about the MOP? Who was the MOP of the 2000 BC Lions?
Damon Allen.
Where are you going, Moj? I'm not giving any options. You got to name the
I'll
player.
go Millington.
It was Damon Allen. Baker's making a little comeback here. It's 2-1. How about the MOD?
3-2 technically, but yeah. we both
3-2.
do.
3-2. One back. MODP. Who was the MODP?
Most outstanding defensive player?
Yes, of the 2000 BC Lions.
Got me.
Herman Smith.
Baker's got it.
Wow, the
We're tied here.
Herminator.
Herman Smith. How about the most?
Terminator, by the
You
way.
just caught up with him last year, did you
Believe
not?
it or not, I found a Grey Cup ring that belonged to him. And phoned him up at Colorado State Pueblo, where he's coaching the D-line.
It's a great story.
And he completely cleaned his life out because he ran into some off-field issues here at the tail end of his career. I said, I think I have something that belongs to you. I FaceTimed him. And then I kind of showed him the ring. He goes, that mine? Got the ring back to him. So there you go.
Very good story.
Yeah, it was
Cool
a great
story,
story.
yeah. How about, this is a little more tricky. You might have to throw out some names there. I'll allow you guys to just kind of throw out some darts here.
Freewheel it.
The most outstanding rookie of the 2000 BC
Oh,
Lions.
there was that stretch, Bakes, where they had like
Yeah.
4 or 5 guys. Muhammad the DB.
He was 99.
What
I
was
think.
Paul
Lacoste
Paul Lacoste
was
linebacker.
another one. Yeah.
You're thinking the right side of the ball.
So he's a
So we're
defensive
going
player. Aaron
def-
Hunt. No, way before
Too
Aaron
early.
Hunt's time.
He had a big play in the Grey Cup. That was another hint.
What
Carl
position?
Kidd.
Carl Kidd is incorrect.
Okay.
This player is, I know he's a defensive player. I think he might have been a Sam, but he's listed as linebacker.
I don't know. You got me.
I named him earlier, actually. So he's been listed in this
Mike
segment.
Fletcher?
Mike Fletcher,
Yeah.
there
Oh,
you
wow.
go.
He had an interception early in the game, right?
Yeah, picked off a slant pass
Yeah.
from Kelvia right off the
Then-
bat. It was
So you
fun
guys are
watching those.
remembering plays. I don't even remember who they played in 2000.
Well, first and now we do these
Montreal.
little
Montreal?
rewinds and we watched
Yeah.
the games. Yeah, it was a crazy game with Ben Cahoon getting that late touchdown. It was
Yeah.
crazy. How about this one? So I'll give you guys some options here. Which BC Lions player won a league award in 2000? Your options are Louis Pasaglia, Damon Allen, Herman Smith, or Sean Millington. 2000 League
Millington
Award.
Outstanding Canadian.
Millington, I was going to say.
You guys are both
MOC.
correct.
Yeah.
Millington is outstanding Canadian. I don't really have a tiebreaker here. I got one more question, so we could.
Sure, let's just do it. Yeah.
So which big name? It's a very vague term, but big name BC Lions player did the team draft in 2000? And I'll give you guys some options. So it's A, Paris Jackson, B, Kelly Bates, C, Jason Claremont, or D, Brent Johnson.
It's Bates. I've talked to Bates about this before.
2000?
Yeah.
I'll go Paris Jackson.
Oh, you guys are both incorrect.
Oh.
It's Brent Johnson.
Bates
Was 01.
Bates was 01. Okay.
So I guess right after the Grey Cup.
Okay.
You want to Paris Jackson? Little sidebar story because we do have some time to fill. I remember when he got drafted. He went to Buffalo.
Buffalo
Remember,
Bills.
He went to the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
He tried out. He got cut, and we interviewed him. And I think it was 10-40 days. I might have proud myself. We interviewed him, and he was just awful. He was just awful. And then as his career progressed, he became one of the go-to guys on the team that, you'd go to and get a great sound bite and a great breakdown of the game or whatever the situation was.
Wasn't broken in yet, as they say.
I think he's working in town with, is it Game Ready?
Yep.
I think he
Young Liam here has helped him film some stuff, I think. Yeah.
Great guy.
I'm trying to
so we
find
calling
a
it a tie, or are we
No,
just,
I got to find a tiebreaker here.
Okay, I got one for you. What high school did Paris Jackson go to?
Carson Graham.
I'm
See,
a
make
Manitoba
you
boy. How about this? I got one. Who's the halftime show? 2000 Grey Cup.
I remember this. The Guess Who.
There you go. There's a winner.
Yeah.
Matt
Okay,
Baker.
was it the real Guess Who, or was it like the Guess Who?
I think it was the Guess Who.
It says on Wikipedia says the Guess Who.
Do you know there's like a Guess Who that's going around right now that has no association with the band, and Burton Cummings is pissed at him?
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Hey, what name were you asking was coming?
Herman Smith, I think you were asking.
No.
Alfred?
The UBC guy. Who's the UBC guy? The guy.
Curtis Gallick.
Not on this list, no, unfortunately.
Who else we got coming out?
Oh, Damon Allen, Brett Anderson, Donnie Blair, Noah Cantor, the Crumbs, Craig Hendrickson, Corey Mantika, Sean Millington, Louis. A lot of good
Harden
guys.
coming out? Steve Harden?
Steve Harden of
He's a
Price is
character.
Right fame.
I see him. There he is.
He is on the list.
That's good.
61.
He's managing Willowbrook or something now, I think.
Is he?
Yeah. All right.
Good trivia.
We are out of here, but before we get out of here, people, this game again, Matt, what do you guys got going on for people that might have missed the opening segment?
Forgot to mention, adult tickets 25, kids 17 and under for 15. 2,000 champs to the Wall of Fame at halftime. All kinds of other legends will be there celebrating 70 seasons of BC Lions football. Backyard party presented by our friends at Play Now Sports, 4 o'clock at Terry Fox Plaza. Food and beverage, including Molson Coors drinks for $5. And throughout the night, there'll be some cool tributes. Nick here again has done some great job. Done some great work, I should say, compiling this history. I love Wall of Fame night. Like you, I grew up cheering for this team, loving this team before I was lucky enough to work here, and it's great to honor some of the legends of the past.
And, of course, people want more info, just check out bclions.com, the website, plenty of stuff there, and on social media. Mr. Kowalski, all that great work that you do can be found on social media on what handles?
Put him on the spot here. BC Lions on X, BC Lions on YouTube, and BC Lions Official on Instagram. So
Underscore official. BC Lions _official on
official.
the old Instagram machine.
Didn't get the BC. We gotta track down whoever has that.
And
BC
again,
Lions
the Lions will be wearing their gunmetal jerseys. Oh, so looking forward to that as a play-by-play guy. Love those gunmetals.
You'll be fine. Don't worry.
Defeatist attitude, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here. Again, big thank you to everybody at the Shark Club downtown Vancouver. If you're in the neighborhood, always check it out. Just a down and out from BC Play Stadium, located at Georgia Street and Beatty. Big thank you to our producer tonight, Trevor Martins. Of course, our guest, Max Rouyer, linebacker of the Lions. And, of course, Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski from the Lions organization. You know what I'm going to tell you before we get out of here? Do what you got to do. Just do us a favor. Be safe.